Welcome back to another episode of Cancelled. I am your host, Jeff, along with...
Alejandro. But also, this is the final episode.
This
right?
is our final episode, our third and final episode. It has been such a great ride talking about cancel culture and everything between, over, under.
Yeah, I really like doing this because with my friends, it's very like not like I'll try to talk about these things, but they'll just be like, "Isn't it like okay, stop? You're like okay, whatever." Like I don't know, they'll just kind of brush it off. I guess they don't understand.
What I love is that we get to educate ourselves, whether if it's with pop culture, whether if it's something that's trending or something that we should educate ourselves and make sure that we do good within that and like involve it into our lives. So I think that's great that we're doing a podcast that involves so much and learning and being able to create something like that. I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think it's like it's things that are talked about, but they're not really like in-depthly talked about, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That they're like brought up in like conversation, but they're not really like, okay, but why? Or what's the reason? Like why? Like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Speaking of talking, I would love to get into our first topic of the podcast because we have a few things to talk about. Recently, Hailey Bieber I forgot who she was talking to, and I should have researched that before coming on here. But Hailey Bieber went on to talk to a woman, and she was talking about how cancel culture has affected, not only her life, but everyone else around her and whatnot. And one thing in specific that she's talking about is a TikTok that a girl made. Supposedly she said she made it 9 months ago, right? And it was a TikTok of this hostess, not a waitress. And she mentioned how her interaction with Hailey Bieber was not a nice one. I don't think she said it was a negative one, but she just wasn't feeling her vibe, or she just wasn't nice to her. And Hailey Bieber goes on to talk about that TikTok that she saw and mentioned it to this lady and how it's affected her mental health because people were going after Hailey Bieber because of her not being nice and this and that. She did also want to mention that because from seeing the TikTok, we're humans and we all make mistakes, and I understand it. And she did apologize, and she took she's like, I'm sorry for it, and she tried to not resonate why she did it, but then she also kind of like gave excuses on why she was like that. So I was like, it makes no sense, Miss Bieber. But she did mention how supposedly that day she was not having it, she was having a rough day and whatnot, and we all do. But I just still think that your true colors will show within your character, especially how you treat service people.
So
right?
You're not a fan of Hailey Bieber?
Like, she's the only reason why I know her is because of her. Is it her dad, her uncle? Is it who the Baldwins, right? Alec Baldwin is either her father or her uncle.
I honestly did not, because they're models, right? Like runway fashion models.
They're runway fashion models, yes.
Or something like that. I honestly didn't know who she was until she got married with Justin Bieber.
Really, I feel like she was just adding more clout to her name, to be honest. When I first saw their relationship, I was just kind of like, really?
But speaking of that, I've been seeing videos about like kind of like that topic, that either the relationship is fake or that it's like one-sided. Because there's like videos of her trying to be like affectionate with Justin while like they're in front of camera or something, and then Justin kind of like, he'll either whisper like, oh, don't touch me, or like
brush it off. Why?
Like brush her off or something, and then like Hailey's face will change or something, or like she'll like scoot away. But again,
Trump, right? When she just, she changes her face after Trump.
Yeah. But like a lot of, but the thing is a lot of things on the internet can be like edited certain ways. So I'm not sure what to think of that. I mean,
you never know. I always feel like you can be so much in love with the person, but behind the scenes, you don't know what is really, really going on. Like, I think, for instance, I can say that with, I can actually say that for, who was it? Oh my God, I literally had the couple in my mind and it went away. Ooh, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. They were married for a hot minute, right? They have kids together, and even though they seemed like such a great power couple, you never knew what was going behind the scenes, what was they were really going through. Same thing with Kim and Kanye. Paparazzis were able to get them when they were in their ranch in Wyoming one time, and you can literally see Kim. Wow, you can literally see Kim crying and like her having like a heated argument with Kanye in the car. And it's like you never really know what's going on with the person, and I get it. But at the end of the day, stop trying to be so fake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing too. Like every relationship's gonna have its own ups and downs. And like with just celebrities, everything's like 10 times more, or like influencers, or if whoever's in the public eye, your relationship's so much more blown up. Like the negatives more so than like the positive stuff. Because we eat that up.
Well, what's funny is that, you know, it's different when it's influencer relationships when it is with celebrity relationships, because influencer relationships is more of like a oh my God, I've been involved so much, not only with one person's life, but with two. And now they're separating, and it's like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna cope? But when it's a celebrity and they're just actors and they're just kind of like doing their stuff, like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, which we talked about them in a previous podcast, it was kind of like, oh, okay, cool, move on. But I remember when David Dobrik and Liza Koshy broke up. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't devastated, but I was a little hurt. I thought they were such a good couple, but
I was never a fan of that whole unpopular opinion, but I wasn't really a fan of the whole like David Dobrik thing. I don't know, just didn't call my attention. Like I saw some of the videos, they were kind of like funny. But like I don't know, I just wasn't as invested as everyone else. Like, oh my God, the Vlog Squad, David Dobrik. Well, like
I wasn't invested into David Dobrik and whatnot until like he started giving away cars, and I was like, ooh, okay, let me see what he's up to today. I thought that was such a great move on his part to like actually capture the audience's reactions and to capture the essence of, you know, why we want to watch him or why we click on his videos or his content. Yeah. That with Hailey Bieber, right? You know, even though she's technically considered a model influencer, I don't see her as anything big or crazy. So like if she ends up breaking up with Justin, okay, next please. Like, okay, you're just gonna keep on moving on. But going back to with her talking about how that TikTok really, like, I guess changed up and blew up and whatnot. Yeah. I remember the girl that actually did the TikTok, she was a hostess for a restaurant in New York City. Her name is Julia Carolan, or Carolan. And she says, you know, when posting that video, she kind of always knew that, you know, there's no rules with social media, right? You can post and you can tweet and you can say whatever you want, right? Freedom of speech. And she said, going back to what I said, you know, she did mention that, you know, meeting a person, right? Even if it's a celebrity of a certain stature, if you act fake or you act like, you know, you treat other people less than, they're obviously gonna see the realness behind your character. And that's what she was technically explaining about on her TikTok. And she mentioned how she's like, my TikTok, she only had 12 followers on TikTok when she posted that video. She wasn't big, she wasn't anything, and she just wanted to share her experience. And her experience wasn't really a good one. And I get it. You know, it's how she felt. But the whole Hailey Bieber thing, I just thought it was.
Well, I mean, people also have like their bad days and stuff. Like, because again, I'm pretty sure she probably gets followed by paparazzi or something, or like fans always running up to her, and I'm sure it like takes a toll. But then at the same time, you shouldn't really like take it out on other people. So,
but I will say this, I don't remember exactly what happened, like that made the TikTok blow up and how she treated her and whatnot. I will say that I've worked with a few celebrities that kind of seem fake, kind of seem real. Oh my God, I remember working with Wendy Williams, and she was nice to like the people kind of like outside, like somewhat like the fans and whatnot. This wasn't like a big venue. She probably had like a good 30 people in the room. And I remember I was working the event. I was still kind of new, and she stops by before she leaves. I wanted to see if I could get a picture, but I wasn't aware of like the selfie thing. It wasn't as big at the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, she literally goes to it, like we were by the door, right? Thinking that we weren't working. She was like, can I help you? And I was like, oh no, we're just working this. And I was like, okay, do you guys want a picture? And she's like, and at that point I felt very like taken back. It's like, I don't know if I should say yes or no. I don't know if she, so I was like, no, we're good. And she's like, okay. And she just walks out. She gives a little diva thing and she walks out. Pero she got enough problems to deal with, so I'm fine not getting a picture.
But I mean, also it's like celebrities or like influencers aren't always who they are on like camera.
But you Wendy Williams though, you've seen her on camera, right?
Yeah, she's a little like she's crazy.
Yeah, okay, thank you for
saying Wendy Williams. Like
she's crazy in the fact that, she says it how it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, she says it how it is. Oh my God, she called Dua Peep.
Oh yeah, so I remember that. There's so many different things with Wendy Williams. Like, she was the one who fainted, right?
She was the one who fainted.
While she was like doing her show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Karma got to her on that one. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, another person that I don't think he was fake. It's more of, I guess, putting up a front and, separating yourself from a character that you've been known to give. And that was Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Sorry, someone's coming up. And that was Kevin Hart. So with him, I worked an event where there was literally 700, 800 people waiting outside to meet him. It was a big event and it was a quick like picture thing, boom, out, you're done. You'll get your pictures later online. When the event was over, I remember he said, or someone mentioned to us that he only wanted 3 workers in the room and then everyone else had to go. So that was posse, that was paparazzis, that was other people that were working the event. It was so intense. And then when the room was kind of cleared out, I was able to stay, thank God. But when the room cleared out, I saw such a different person. I was like, this is Kevin Hart. This is not Kevin Hart, like what you see on, like, this is the real Kevin Hart. So I see the balance of where they have to be themselves and not be themselves, but still kind of like show that for everyone, right? If you're working, if you see that there are workers, even though they can still be considered fans, right? Because I'm a fan of Kevin Hart. I guess, not to put your guard down, right? Like, be who you are, or still kind of like be grateful at the fact that you are in a place where you're meeting all these people that are supporting you, that are lifting you up in your career. But with Kevin Hart, I saw that once the whole event was done. I was like, wow, okay.
I don't know if do you know who Joey, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but his sister was a famous Viner and YouTuber, I guess. Her name is Jessie Smiles.
I have a picture with Jessie Smiles. I know exactly who she is.
So Jessie Smiles, well, with her, I had an interaction. So I used to work at Kohl's and I was actually her cashier.
She was a Miami girl, right?
Yeah, I think she lived in like Kendall or Brickell or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was her cashier and like it didn't process that it was her till after, and like she seemed like very tired. So it was just like, and then I've known her from her videos and she was like very energetic, and that was my first kind of, I guess, like, not celebrity, but like a well-known person, like,
yeah, like my first encounter with someone
who they are on like online versus who they are in real life. But she was also pregnant at the time, and like she looked like they've been out all day, so all those factors played. But what I'm getting at is I used to work with her brother, and her brother was somebody, his name is Joey. I don't know if he goes by Joey Smiles.
Okay. I remember she had a family member that was also doing stuff, but I was, oh my God, I was fresh out of high school, right when I kind of figured out the whole Vine thing and like all of that. So I knew of her. I didn't know of her. I remember you're gonna laugh. I met her at a Elizabeth Gilbert event that I was working. She's the woman that wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she was there, and another worker came up to me and she's like, Jesse Smells just walked in. And it was funny enough, she wasn't there to meet, she was there because her brother wanted to go meet the author. But I was like, oh my God, you're Jesse Smiles, right? She was like, yay. Super nice, super sweet. We got a cute little funny picture. But going back to you, I remember a friend of mine met her at a Starbucks, and she seemed like she was in a mood. Again, wait until you get my coffee to ask for something, right? She seemed like she was in a mood because she was waiting in line and she was waiting right behind her. And she didn't ask for anything until they both kind of like went to go pick up their coffee. And she's like, I know that you just got your coffee, so I was wondering if I can get a picture with you. And she's like, let's do it. She had the coffee. So again, you said, the person she might have had a long day. She might have was feeling tired. She was pregnant. Like, I get it.
So it's always like, but what I was gonna say with the brother was just that like, he was the same how he was like online and in person. And that was kind of like crazy to see, because I was like, I've never seen anyone who acts the same. Like,
and I always feel like that's kind of like you have to watch it, because it's like you're bringing work home with you. You're still that same persona and character that people see you online. And yes, you can be like that, but it's like, are you gonna act the exact same way that you are on social media when you're like in front of your lawyer talking about brand deals or this or that? No, you're gonna act differently, be in a more like business mindset. Who was it? There was one person that I always thought there was like, oh shit, you're like the same person online. I want to say, I don't think, because I met David Dobrik and he didn't seem like that crazy person that you would see online and whatnot. I always tell people is like, you're bringing home your work. Like you can't keep that persona of you being the same person all the time. But one thing that, because I did want to talk about the whole Hailey Bieber TikTok situation, the girl came back out and said, kind of like clearing the air. And she did say there's a difference between cancel culture and accountability culture. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, let me drop it down low real quick and understand what she's trying to explain. So I did a little research, and it was a whole other rabbit hole that I went down through. Because yes, you get canceled, but you're also taking accountability of your actions, right? So let's say I say something and I'm being very insensitive. Let's say I make fun of Asian people, I make fun of Africans Americans or the LGBTQ community, and I don't educate myself on what I did wrong. You're not taking accountability of your actions. You're just kind of like brushing it off and like, okay, I'm sorry. No, you have to make sure that you are understanding what you did was wrong and why you said it. Like you can't just kind of like just take it for granted, right? Because no. So I was like, okay, and that's why when she did mention the whole Hailey Bieber, when she went back onto the video and she's like, let me react to her reaction to my video, and she was explaining everything that was going on. She's like, I don't think she should be canceled. Take accountability. I'm like, okay.
Speaking, just because you mentioned like, well, okay, really quick.
It's fine.
Kind of like what we were talking about, and like I think it was our first episode where we were just kind of like, cancel culture should just be a thing where it's like we pull people up on like what they're like when they're doing something wrong to let them know, so they won't continue doing that. And so I like that. I didn't know it was an actual like an actual thing, like accountability culture.
I didn't think it was an actual thing either until I going through the internet. I was like, oh wait, there's more to this than just being canceled.
Yeah. But yeah, what I want to talk about next was, so I was on Instagram, I want to say like a few weeks ago, and I recently had added my friend's girlfriend. She's African American, and he's I can't remember what he is, but he's basically white. He's white passing. Okay. And she posted an interesting a picture on her story, which I guess it never it was never in my my like sphere. Like I never came across this, and it was basically AAVE or BVE. So basically like black. Let me make
So
sure.
what do those acronyms stand for? Do you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I'm gonna say right now. I just don't want to say the word wrong. The word in order to like pronounce it. Ver, uh, Vernacular. Hopefully, I'm saying it wrong. So it stands for Black Vernacular English or African American Vernacular English. So it's basically like referring to the which I feel bad for saying this now, but to what it's most likely as like pop culture slang or like media slang, like some of the examples that it was using was like woke, basic, straight up, squad, lit, extra, just like stuff like that. And basically, so I looked it up, and I found this article, and it was basically just saying how it's funny how this language or this way of speaking was developed, not developed, but like I guess first brought up by like Black or African American like slaves, because they wanted to communicate with each other and stuff. So they created like this other like dialect almost. And it's funny how when a Black person or an African American person uses this slang and someone else hears them, they think they're very like uneducated because it's not the proper English. But now it's becoming this thing where it's like now it's just like, oh, the internet slang or like pop culture slang or like millennials slang, Gen Z slang.
Yeah.
And it's basically, the article was just kind of saying how, but it's not that, like it's our base, kind of like a version of our language, like
it's like vocabulary. The whole like saying like eyebrows on fleek, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things. Yeah.
I see it, and I feel like you don't, just because you use those words or not doesn't make you more or less woke, right? Like what's funny, the way that people use, you know how people are using pronouns right now?
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your pronoun? I'm he, him, or I'm she, her, or they, them. I remember I would be talking to my dad about one person in particular, right? Let's say he's a guy. And I would start my sentence with like, Dad, Papi, I don't like him. She's annoying, she's ugly, she treats me wrong, she's like I use slang to kind of express how I feel, regardless of, irregardless, that's not a word, regardless of, I guess, actually meaning it towards the person. So like, even
because that's another thing, right? Where it's like saying she, like,
like I call my friend, right, who's a guy and he's part of the LGBT community, right? I would say, hey girl, what's up?
Yeah,
like little things like that, like that's just because you use certain words like yes or like woke or this and that doesn't mean that you are less or more woke than what people say.
I think the whole like movement of it was basically just like acknowledge that it was like it's from Black culture, like just acknowledge that.
But I don't think it's just from Black culture. Like I understand primarily most of those words and slang words come from the African American side, and I get it, I do, and because they are the ones that are very creative when it comes to making slangs. Like my favorite one right now that I like to use, period, with a T at the end, right? And I'm like, really?
I don't like the per one. That one I find so annoying. Like, but in the best way possible. Like you would not catch me dead saying that. Like it's kind of like, for me saying per is kind of like me scratching a chalkboard. Like I'm done. Like, it's not, I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is.
I had to ask a friend of mine yesterday, what does per mean? Does that mean like, is it like, what?
Isn't it like period, but just
Yeah, it's another way of saying, but like, it's the fact that they just continue creating these words and just like, kind of continue to um, shorten abbreviations. Like, how do you do that?
there's okay. So I saw a video, and it brought up a quote. Let me pull it up. So the quote says, it's right here. Who said this? Give me 1 second. Let me see. I don't think it's gonna tell me who it's from. But basically, what the quote was saying is, it is the thing that Black people love so much, the saying of words, holding them on the tongue, experimenting with them, playing with them. It's a love, a passion. Its function, it's like a preacher's to make you stand up out of your seat. So it was just basically, because it was referring to like the whole BVE and AAVE like language, and saying how like, yes, like African Americans created these words.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that quote, because it was just saying that, because at the time words was literally all the slaves had, and not even at that. So I guess this whole like movement, or like hidden movement, or thing that's starting to rise up, is just kind of like wanting acknowledgement for that.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, oh, it's just like internet slang, it's pop culture slang.
No, like there's a little bit more deeper level than that. But
Yes.
hey, I never saw it as that. I always thought that it was just internet slang. Yeah, I knew it came from somewhere, and primarily was from the African American side, right?
Yeah, me too. Like I also always thought it was just like, oh, this is just like internet, like,
yeah, internet slang.
yeah. But then like when I came across, I was like, oh shoot, like it's like literally everything has like a deeper, I guess, like rooted meaning to it.
Yeah, like what was one that I love? Oh, snatched. Oh, you look snatched. Like you look good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never saw it as that, but that's an interesting way to view it, and it still gives consideration and appreciation to the community as well.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just kind of like a whole, like it plays into the whole racism thing, where it's kind of like, what's the word? Not racism, but it's like if the African American community does it, it's like filthy, or it's uneducated, or it's like
anybody else does it,
you know. But if like somebody else does it, it's like, oh, it's hip, it's cool.
That's just stereotyping.
We go.
Yeah, that's just stereotyping. That's going beyond a deeper level of the person themselves that are saying that. They have some problems going on.
Yeah, so I just thought that was so interesting and funny, because it's like, yeah, I've heard, like my parents, when they hear people talk like that, they're like, oh, or like African American people or Black people talk like that, they're like, oh, they're uneducated, like Black people need to get educated. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, what? No, like that's just part of their culture. Like they're not.
Yeah, their culture is part of their slang, and it's very, yeah. I always thought it was interesting, because part of every ethnicity, there's always a culture and a science behind everything. So like, it's always interesting to learn what like the African Americans are doing, or what the Asians are doing. Yeah, obviously moderation of, watch how you act upon what they're doing, and what the knowledge that you're intaking, and make sure that you're not offending anybody by replicating certain things. But I think it's beautiful that we can all share things within a community, within as a society. But I don't think that everything should be taken as offense. Like don't look at me when I use the word, when I say a certain slang, right? Let's say let me see how I can give you. So like, here's the thing, right? So for instance, spill the tea, sis. What's the tea? right? People might have said, oh, that came from like the Black community. And when I was like, no, I think that came from the LGBTQ community. Even though it might have had a deeper meaning of where it came from, you also have to know that most of that has been used within the LGBTQ community. And yes, other people might take it and say it started from here or there, but always know where the credit should be given to.
Yeah, and things always like evolve and change. Like the English language isn't an original language; it was adopted from like something else.
Exactly, and things are always added, right, every single day to like the dictionary and to certain vocabulary is always added to our personal dictionary. Like I remember, didn't they add the word selfie into the Merriam-Webster dictionary?
Did
A word that was pretty much made up.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if it was selfie or I remember that, but I can't remember the word.
Let's see. Yeah, Merriam-Webster dictionary has selfie as one of their words. The definition of selfie is an image that includes oneself, often with another person or as part of a group, and is taken by oneself using a digital camera, specifically for posting on social networks. That's literally what they have as the meaning. That slang can still become those types of words that are part of our everyday vocabulary. I would not be surprised to see if the dictionary adds yes to the.
Well, I mean, isn't that kind of what like is it Urban Dictionary?
It is Urban Dictionary, yeah. Whenever it's like it's slang, but we really want to know the meaning over it.
It always takes you to Urban Dictionary, so I guess it's kind of, I don't know. But yeah. And then I guess another main thing to talk about could be the whole Bad Bunny. I'm assuming this is his last tour.
So what's funny is that the tour is called El Último Tour del Mundo, which is basically the last tour of the world. And
because his album is also the last, right?
Yeah. But I think what was the anticipation and the hype for everything is that this dude released one of the biggest albums right before quarantine hit, like a month before quarantine, like right at the cusp of quarantine.
Yes, yeah.
And then within quarantine, he didn't release another album. He released 2, so 3 albums, and he just won a Grammy for one of those. So he's like,
I forgot he released like a little quarantine album.
Yeah, he's like on another level. And what's funny is that for a person, a Hispanic Latinx artist, right, to be at his level and not be canceled, which is very, very surprising because I know how the Hispanic community likes to
Well,
play.
he did have like a little like, he wasn't canceled, but I think they were trying to cancel him when he did the music video. I think it was a music video for Yo Pereo Sola.
Oh, when he went
where he
as
a woman and he had like boobs and like, I think it was that one.
Yeah, he had full on drag and he was, perreando sola.
Yeah.
I was in shock when I saw that, but I had no clue that he was being canceled for that.
I don't remember if it was like him being canceled. I just remember seeing it on like the news and stuff.
I feel like people just wanted to cancel him for going that extra mile.
Yeah, I think people just wanted to cancel him because I think also around that time he also came out as like, what did he come out as?
Is it there's so many things that
was it like not bisexual, was it? It was like
he came out as queer. He came out as something that like
it was like queer or non-binary or
something like that. I know that he's been
yeah, because it was around the time where he like everyone was going crazy about him painting his nails.
Yeah, because he was dressing up to these award ceremonies looking muy raro and
wasn't he also the first guy Playboy magazine, or was that, or did I make that up right now? Let me see.
No. I think there's been other men on Playboy, but he did do that Playboy shoot, and I thought it was amazing. But one thing that I'm surprised at the fact that he has not been canceled. He's been, I guess, less talked about in cancellation than Lil Nas X, even though they're both technically doing somewhat of the same stuff. They're pushing boundaries and they're really doing stuff that normal society would not take offense in, but would be taken back at the fact that they're putting that out on mainstream media. So for him to, well, first of all, we can talk about that one time that he was on Jimmy Fallon, right? And he wore a t-shirt that said, call her by her name. And it was Alexa or something like that, or her name was Alexa. And it was about this trans woman that died, right? I think she was shot or something like that. She died. And I don't think they gave her recognition, or they said something about the person being a man instead of a woman. Yeah. And that got huge controversy all over Puerto Rico. And it was a huge ordeal on the media outlets and whatnot. And when he went on Jimmy Fallon, this was one of his first big interviews, he was wearing that shirt as like her name was Alexa, giving homage to the person that passed away. So I do see the good and the good stuff that he does. I'm not saying that I don't see anything good from Lil Nas X, because he is still a great visionary artist and I love all the stuff that he's doing. But with Bad Bunny, I don't think it's just him getting to the top and just being more. I feel like he's just being himself and expressing himself within music.
Yeah, with Lil Nas X, I feel like he is being himself, but he's also trying to be like, what's gonna cause a stir?
What's gonna get people talking? I want to cause a stir in the scene.
Yeah, which is also like reckless on his end, because like, look where that got him. Like, apparently now his music video's not up anymore.
Well, that's the thing. I know that he released like another music video or something like that, but then his main music video, which still I feel is like a little too crazy, but I love the artistry and the visionary behind it. I feel that all of that he's done, especially involving religion, something which is a very touchy subject for a lot of people, was a hit, right? Like, not like, I don't say like a hit as in like, oh my God, he did amazing. I say like it was a hit towards those people. Like, okay, you want to talk shit? Let's talk shit. And he gave them something to talk about.
Yeah.
Whether it was a negative or positive, because he did get positive feedback from the music video. People loved the song. People really related to it and they liked it. But again, you're pushing boundaries with stuff that you do, and you never know. Little things like that can cancel you, can put you in a state where you don't know what can happen next, right?
Well, real quick, just to kind of go a little bit off topic, how do you feel about like, so obviously we're like a year into this whole like pandemic, and like, concerts being canceled. How do you feel? Or so you were telling me before we record that you bought like tickets to this concert, right? So how do you feel like
3 hours before our conversation
where you were like, I'm gonna go to a concert?
Well, here's my thing. If I'm not mistaken, concerts are already happening now, right? I
mean, where I work at a venue, and we've had like separate concerts, but it's like a live theater venue. It's smaller too. So the original capacity for that is like 420 seats. And so we do a little bit less than that because we skip every other row and then we save 3 seats for social distancing. So I think the most people we've had in the theater maybe was like 100 and something. So that's how, I don't know if that's how like every other place is doing it, but that's just how like where I work is doing it.
Well, here's the thing. The concert is for next year, and I don't know how it's going to be. I tweeted it right now, and I thought I was gonna get people being like, oh my God, you got tickets to a concert like during the middle of a panini. And I'm like, first of all, the pandemic has been around for a year. Vaccines are already being sent out to so many people. I already got my first shot. I get my second shot next week, Friday. I'm chilling, I'm good. But if people are traveling and they're in confined spaces like an airplane, do you really think
which is super unsanitary, like to begin with?
Yeah, even though they say, oh, we're taking measurements to keep everyone safe and we're cleaning down everything that you touch right before and after you get on the plane. Like, I get it, but I don't think I'd be so worried as to going to a concert for an artist as big as Bad Bunny, because I know that concert's gonna be packed, and feel like I get canceled for it, if that makes sense. Like it's okay. Like I went out during.
Okay, sorry, what were you saying? I think I cut you off.
Oh,
I was gonna say, so my take was, I was so excited for this concert, but I was really surprised to see so many people excited about the concert, but it was the same people that were like kind of being so, not butthurt, but being so like vocal about other people going out and doing things during the pandemic.
well, again, remember this concert is next year, right?
Yeah.
I can't say anything about the earlier dates because I know the concert starts like I want to say end of this year, or like early next year. That
I honestly only just looked at the Miami dates.
That's he added a second date to Miami. Someone messaged me saying I'm looking for floor seats for the second date, and I said, "There's a second date." They added a second Miami date, and I'm grateful with what I got for now, right? Which is because he was supposed to he finishes off his tour in Miami, beginning of April, right? April 1st is a Friday.
Finishing
his tour, like he's gonna go on tour, and the last state that he goes to, the last city that he goes to is Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so someone said that he added an extra day, and now I'm over here like, what? So I can see him twice instead of once. No, I'm kidding. I'm just gonna see that. I was really thinking that it was gonna get hassle getting tickets and whatnot, but I waited like 40 minutes in line just to get tickets, like online.
Did it say anything about like social distancing or like measures?
No, which was very weird because I'm a person that likes to make sure I read everything just in case questions come up later, and I'm like, wait, I know that I read this somewhere. So when I looked at like the final ticket, I was like, okay, I'm going. I paid, everything is set. My ticket number. I looked for little things like, oh, social distancing, mask, this, that, nothing at all. But again, I don't know how venues are going to be from now to later. You never know. There could be a seat, and I doubt it would happen though. There could be an empty seat between every other person, right, in the concert, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
Maybe. Well, they might just either like for like the floor tickets, they might space it out more, or like
probably
or something. I don't know.
But I'm super excited for this concert. I think it's gonna be great. Hopefully he does not get canceled from here to because me say I don't know.
I don't think he'll get canceled.
I think he's doing great for himself, and he's really pushing back boundaries in a good, positive way. Yeah. What's it called? He's in Miami right now. He's running around Miami right now because he was in Tampa doing the WrestleMania stuff.
Oh yeah.
And he came to Miami. He was partying in Miami last night, and besides having a rake, like an actual rake in his hands, just like that was his prop for the night, he was wearing a crop top. And I was so here for it because not only was he wearing a crop top, but he was wearing it in front of Anuel, which is another Spanish artist. And you already know Anuel, he's been canceled many times for being homophobic, for saying these types of racial slurs. Like, he likes to talk
Didn't
shit.
he decide to like cut Bad Bunny off because of the music video he put out, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, why is you hanging out with somebody that was talking crap about you for you being you, right? Yeah. But we love to see it. We love to see this feminine masculinity in front of other people that are controlled by toxic masculinity. So I can't complain about that. One thing I would like to talk about, I think this would be the last thing that we talk about, is the Good Time Hotel that just opened here on the beach.
I didn't know it was here.
Yeah, was it Washington, I think? On Washington.
Yeah, Washington Ave.
Washington Ave. It's it literally looks like a day nightclub, if that makes sense. But like outside, so you can make it very Instagrammable and like trying to sell via social media. That makes sense.
I haven't seen the outside, only saw like.
Say it again.
I only saw like the inside go like Miami-ish.
Well, I like the vibe that they give because it's very pastel, very like Havana, Cuba, very Little Beverly Hills from like the 1980s. Like they're giving off a good vibe, and I believe they're gonna do great. It's run by David Bretman, who also owns Live on the Beach, and he partnered up with Pharrell. You know, cause I'm happy, like that dude. And they look like they hit it out of the ballpark. Now, I will say this: that's a place that's gonna get a lot of hype. My only thing is that they're not one of those hotels that gets trashy after like the first month or two because it's on the beach and it seems like a party hotel, even though they have all the nice amenities and make it look cute and whatnot. I don't know the vibe, but they're also doing it, you know, after the pandemic. So I don't know how they're gonna, you know, be accepting with, you know, how many people they let in, with the types of activities that they do within the hotel. You never know.
Well, I mean, right now things are starting to like kind of slowly already not clear up, but like slowly get better, at least from what I'm seeing. Like I said, like where I work at a venue, and so there's like, again, we're getting a lot of like phone calls for like dance recitals and this and that, and I feel like we're one of the few venues that are open in, or that it's allowing the people. I'm really not sure how it works, but at least from what I've heard from like, you know, the phone calls that I've picked up, they're just like, yeah, you're like one of the only few venues where we can like do this stuff at. Because like I said before, we do like temperature checks at the door, we skip every other row, we have 3 seats in between like groups and stuff, and we're getting like more people calling in for rentals to do their shows. So I feel like more people are getting comfortable like going out and you know, going to events. So I feel like things are slowly, and of course, you know, the vaccine and stuff, so things are definitely slowly gonna start getting better this year.
Yeah, my church actually opened up its doors, I want to say maybe 4 Sundays ago. Like they slowly started letting people in. I've never seen my church so empty on Easter Sunday than like how it was last Sunday. Because like my church usually it's overpacked on Easter, which is very, very weird. But last Sunday I was kind of like, oh, well, this is new. Or the 2 Sundays ago, I was like, okay, this is kind of new. Like, you know, little by little they're letting people in. But I love the fact that people are, you know, taking it seriously, making sure social distancing is involved, making sure that there's temperature checks at the door, that everyone follows the guidelines and, you know, where you need to go once you enter and once you leave. I think it really, really is great. And, you know, if you're doing that for your venue and where you work and things like that, I know for a fact, little by little, everything's going to clear up and we're all going to be able to all sit again next to each other and be able to actually live life again outside of this Panini Express. Sorry, I call the pandemic a panini. That's my.
It's just, of course, just panini. Oh yeah, I've heard people say panoramic.
Panoramic.
I honestly don't have enough energy for that.
To like, yeah. But overall, honestly, getting to talk to somebody about cancel culture and about pop culture and where society is right now in a trending state, I think is such a great way to, you know, be able to vent and be able to learn from someone else instead of just what they say on the internet. So I love our conversations. I love the fact that we were able to, you know, create something, you know, amazing within our podcast. So I'm, yeah, that's where I stand with that.
Oh my god, yes. I'm kind of sad it's the last episode, but it was fun.
It was fun while it lasted, right? We're here, we're having fun, and we were able to, you know, hopefully not only educate ourselves, but educate the other listeners as well that have been tuning in to hear us. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you to everyone out there for listening to our podcast. Again, I'm Jeffrey.
And I'm Alejandro.
And thank you for listening to our final episode of Canceled. Have a good one.